Welcome back to Peak 15, the podcast putting the spotlight on people and their passions. Now, it's fast becoming apparent that my original intention of producing 15-minute episodes is just not possible when talking on subjects that my guests are so invested in. So the name Peak 15 will remain. It's still representative of our appetite for reaching pinnacles in the things we love the most. And, as it is after all, the name given to Everest before it was known to be the highest point on Earth, it's also still an appropriate metaphor for discovering just how high we can climb in the pursuit of our passions. Episode 2 expands on the subject of running with the recent visit to PodpodUK of the Brigboys. Two lads from Bamber Bridge whose passion for running led them to create the Brigboys podcast. With 24 cracking episodes already in the can and available on Spotify, these lads have a loyal and growing following who all value the no-nonsense, down-to-earth and inclusive nature of their show. Far from delivering content purely for elite runners, their simple, practical tips for any distance and mix of guests means that they resonate with runners of all abilities. Karl and Ste both recognise that everyone starts somewhere and that a sense of accomplishment is all relative to their listeners' differing ability levels and experience. Their passion for running is clear to see, and I, for one, am a really big fan. Have a look. I hope you enjoy meeting them and watching the conversation as much as I did having it. This is Peak 15 and they are the Brigboys. I'm really chuffed to have both Karl and Steve, aka the Brigboys, in the PodpodUK studio. I asked you a little while ago when I set up Peak 15 to come and get involved, and I was introduced to you via a mutual friend who told me to just check out your podcast, and I did, and I loved it. I think I was introed to the Lakeland 50 session that you were talking about, and having done it, it resonated with me so much. But also, I think for me, the way you two bounce off each other, you're obviously very comfortable with each other, good mates. I think it works a treat, and it's fantastic to have you both here. So welcome to PodpodUK and to Peak 15.
Yep, thank you,
Karl and Steve.
It feels like a real professional outfit.
I know, yeah. It's about time, isn't it?
I have got something I want to do. Okay, so this is kind of just a little ode to you two, so bear with me and let's see if I can get this right. But it's just to kind of get things going in the Brigboy style.
Hey yo, you ready? Let's do it.
I just wanted to make you feel at home.
That's more like it.
I'm settled now.
Yeah.
Bit of abuse in the right, aren't we?
So anyone who knows Brigboys will now feel at home.
Yeah, that's made me feel more comfortable, mate.
Yeah.
I do have one other thing for you. Okay. It's this, and I want you to put it on that shelf between you. Balance it carefully.
Brilliant.
It's unbelievable.
With love art as well.
So let's see if you can just get that in
Very
there
subtle.
without causing too much chaos. And I think if you can just balance it straight up, then
straight.
the reflection
There we go.
won't be on it, and everyone can see
Got
at
it.
home that there's
Absolutely beautiful.
Karl and
That.
Steve. So I think that's probably a way of me kind of segueing into
Double
you
us
two
up.
guys. Tell me about you two and how you met and all the rest of it.
Yeah, no bother. So, well, we were at school together, weren't we? So we've known each other since age, 12?
Yeah, high school, wasn't it?
Frightening, mate, frightening.
High school in Bamber Bridge.
Yeah, and just always been similar like classes and that, not
Yeah.
always in the same one, were we? But I think
No.
we won't say who was higher, but you can check the GCSE results.
Yeah.
The LEA website is available to
And the sporting ones.
yeah, fair play. But yeah, I think like and beyond, obviously, Karl, you had your experience at age 16, really, that, you know, was obviously a difficult time.
Yeah.
Which I learnt about in one of the podcast episodes, actually,
Yeah.
which was an incredible journey that you've been on in that respect, I guess. But I guess it's made you who you are today as well, mate.
Yeah, it's kind of shaped, I think, my life and everything that's kind of gone through it. But yeah, from 17 to 18, because it was basically cancer at 17, weren't it? And then the heart surgery that was basically just nothing at 17, 18.
Yeah.
Um,
Just became like part of you, that, didn't it, a little bit? Because we knew him as a character, that he would be absolutely fine in the heart surgery, which is weird, really. Think about that. Like, we thought heart surgery. Were we 18? 17?
I think it was. It'd have been 18. That it'd have been 18 because I'd be 18 when I was ill. So it will have been 18 going on 19.
I guess you'd no preconceived ideas, really, of what illness meant at
not
that point.
At that age.
You
But
know
that's
what I
a
mean?
good thing,
Yeah.
though, because if you're young, you literally have no idea what anything is in the world, do you? So
That's
you don't
right.
think about it the same. But if you're ill as an adult, for cancer, for example, you know the treatments, you know how ill it makes you feel, you know all the risks and everything else.
You'll have had
with it.
friends who may have gone through that, and you know how tough a challenge that can be for other people, don't you? At your age, you didn't have any of that.
Nothing. But it was Hodgkin's lymphoma, but pretty much there's no internet or kind of anything like that. It'd only just been out a few years, so it's not like you was googling symptoms
brand
or
new.
do you know, like it wasn't like you do now. You tap some internet and you can have all sorts wrong with you, can't you?
Yes.
Or you can have it the opposite way. You can find out how to fix things.
Yeah.
So there was never anything where phones weren't really about. So it's not like it was on your phone looking at bad things or out like that. It was pretty much just get on with it.
Yeah, doing
Have your
Sudokus and
treatment
crosswords in
and-
hospital.
Yeah.
Playing drums.
Play drums.
And you couldn't. I just remember, like, he obviously couldn't drink or go out and stuff because of what was going on. And I just remember, like, probably where we become a bit closer was when I think we just said, like, every Friday night he just came to mine and we watched
The Big Brother,
Big
innit?
Brother, like, all the way through. That's all we did.
Craig, what are you doing?
Oh, honestly, it was awful. It was
Shut
awful,
up.
wasn't it? Yeah, dated. And we got, like, we watched all the way through that, and we stuck together, I suppose, kind of through that. And then I remember when you had your heart surgery, we actually went out for a night out.
Yeah. Nice, quiet.
Yeah.
The last one, though, we joked about the last one, weren't it? Could be the last one, this.
It was like, yeah, we were joking about it.
Yeah, but
you
he was
know.
joking, though. He was joking,
Yeah.
weren't it? It
No,
was
we-
never going to be the last one.
I think those are the things that get you through, aren't they? Having pals who you can have that banter with during
Yeah.
times like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, like, you probably benefited from us just treating you like we always did. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We weren't like, kid gloves around you at all.
Yeah, there's no need for it, were there? There were certain people that kind of did that and that didn't know how to react to stuff. The people don't, do when you're young. You just don't know how to react to anything, really.
No,
Yeah.
no. And that's how long ago now, then, Carl?
That was 18 years ago.
Right.
We do have a running joke where we've kind of just go through it every year.
Yeah.
Last year was 17.
Anniversary. That Facebook post comes out. That's why I got rid of Facebook.
I've not done Facebook this year. Not done it.
No, I've not done it for a while, and I've not missed it personally.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah. And
Don't
then
need it.
I think really after that we got into the fitness side of things probably. We did Land's End, didn't we, John O'Groats with Jordan, which was like 10 years ago now, I think.
And I think that kicked it off, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to say, did fitness start after your illness, or were you already into? I think from the podcast, I remember you were a runner before that. You were doing stuff.
I did a bit. I played football, rugby every now
Yeah.
and again, so I always kind of kept in it, but not directly. I wasn't fit. Wasn't
Okay.
fit.
I remember
Different paths.
you coming
weren't it?
down to play seven-a-side after chemo.
Yeah, it was just after recovery, weren't it?
Yeah, you're everywhere, weren't you?
Awful.
Legs are gone, like tripping up and stuff. Just a crazy thing that I think, because I didn't have an appreciation of what it was like for you to go through that.
Yeah.
And just watching it, I thought, gosh, it's just you're completely different.
Yeah, well, I fell over twice within 30 seconds. It's probably less. Probably
Yeah,
less.
for these
Just
things.
trying to run after the ball,
Yeah.
just couldn't.
Yeah.
But quite funny.
Never mind turning and all that.
Oh, no, I just couldn't
groin
control
stress,
it.
yeah.
And then run, never mind it else.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't have been there. But I think after so long of not doing it, you just wanted to kind of get back to
Yes.
it and do it. But I couldn't.
Yeah.
But it is funny looking back at it.
Yeah. And then I just remember as well, I'm trying to think, because there was a half marathon, right, where I beat him.
Okay.
So I was delighted with this.
Valiant.
'Cause this had never happened again since.
Yeah.
But that I can't remember what year that
I
was.
think that was
though.
2014, that.
Yeah, so
Sure
that'd
it
be
was.
again then 10 years ago. So and that's where I think I'd done a half with another lad like once, but I never really got into the running.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think with you and like how much you came on and like you did some challenges around run every day and stuff. Like I just got quite into that with you, and I think we ended up just doing a lot of the races together, and that's definitely what's sort of gone on for me. But you pushed on a lot and did every day, and then took on the longer distances.
Yeah. What was the everyday thing? Tell me a bit about that.
That was just running every day. I think I started 2014 running properly.
Yeah.
Park run, etc. And then I think because I enjoyed it that much, I think 2015 I was just like, I tell you what, let's run every day.
For the year?
For the year,
yeah.
And then you continued that in 2016, didn't you? So we had a good block there of 2 years where we kind of really got into it then.
Yeah.
Really got into it.
I mean, that's muscle memory then, isn't it? You know what I mean? If you run every day, it's routine.
Yep.
It's muscle memory. It's accelerating fitness like probably never before.
Yeah. And
how did that feel? You know, at the end of that, did you feel conditioned? Did you feel like that's it? No, there's a level I've got.
Yeah, it was. You I think that's where I kind of started kicking on because you were fit. Odd not having the rest days because I think did I do a marathon within that 2015? I think I might have done Chester.
Right.
As part of the run every day, and then like 2 days after that, I was like 1 mile run. But I think the hardest bit of it was the mental side of it, as in like getting up and having to physically do 1 mile, for example, on a rainy day in December where you might have been out the night before or something like that. That was the hardest part of it.
Yeah, because you've got that devil on your shoulder that says,
well, you were doing it. Yeah.
It was minimum 1 mile with a target of like 1,000, which averages out at about 5k a day. Really done it. But when we did Land's End, he was doing that. So we did this 120-mile bike ride where we'd set off at 8 in the morning and got to a hotel at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then he'd go out and get running stuff on. And I thought, rather you than me, mate. Yeah.
I didn't want to. But there's no way you can't get like 7 months in, can you not do it?
Yeah.
What does it say on your back? Make plans, not excuses.
Make progress.
Make progress.
Yeah.
Make excuses.
Yeah. Make excuses.
But yeah, that was I think that brought you into like a really good level of fitness, and like you said, I think it's the mindset sometimes in it as well of because I think 6 months into it just becomes part of your day.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what set us off within the challenges. Or if we could both do a year every day of running and getting up and doing it, then realistically the challenge we were going to take on, we was always going to kind of train from and finish them. It's just how we did it, really.
Yeah.
If you do a year running and not miss one, then I think you're mentally pretty set up to kind of take on challenges and do some good work on the fitness side of things.
And there's an inevitability to it, isn't there? That you set a standard, you set a level, and then you're looking at another level then, aren't you? Because you know that, can I test myself now to do something else? Now that can be in you as an individual. And something tells me about you two lads that regardless of whether you had a journey together, and you would both be motivated anyway if you didn't have this friendship, this relationship, and so on. Because you'll decide to do something, and I think you'll be in awe of that, and then do similar things, you know, and you do that independent of each other. Do you find that without each other you're still motivated?
Yeah. But it helps. It definitely helps.
We had this discussion, didn't we, about like accountability. You know, like now you've got this 62 mile.
Yeah.
You've told everyone you're doing that now. Yeah. So part of you is like, I've got to go and do that.
And you just confirmed it.
I just wanted to broadcast this.
And you've just seen where I'm up to in that progress as well. So.
Yeah.
59 to go.
And I think, I mean, to be fair, I suppose put the question back to you a little bit. You know, how do you feel about the fact that you've sort of broadcast and told people you're doing that? Does that make you feel like, well, I've got to go and do it now because I've given that sort of accountability a little bit?
I'll give you that answer from the point of view of a pal of mine who is also doing it. He would say he's just retro marketing. Right. What he does is he tells everybody he does these things, and then he has to go and do it, you know, and that he's doing it for this or that or the other. Well, there's part of me that enjoys the commitment.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that I'm committing to it regardless. Some would say, and probably Andrew and Julia, who I'm doing the 62 with, would say, you've tapered for 6 months, so now it's time to actually get a bit of training in and go and do it, because they've trained in all that time. But they would also probably say that in this instance, this year, the fact that I'm on the start line has been the challenge.
Yeah.
because I've really wrestled with something that is so intangible in terms of sciatica that it isn't a physical injury that I'm trying to recover from. It's a nervous system thing that it is irritated and prevents you from doing certain things and really fools you into how you feel. But to answer the question, it's part of why Peak 15 exists. I'm fascinated by what it is that makes someone look at something and think, I'm going for that, and then I'm going to go for that. And so it's the reason I asked you the question. There's a spark in each of us, I think, regardless.
Yeah.
And as Carl, we were saying before we came in, there's this idea of community that comes from that, and hence the reason why we're all in one room, I guess.
Yeah.
So I enjoy all of the results of taking a challenge and having a go at it, regardless of the outcome. So far it's been good, every outcome. We'll see how it goes this time.
It's true, innit? That's what I can't remember who it was now, but they ask, Everest or whatever, why did you climb that? Well, because it's there and it's the highest I can do. So it's, and I think sometimes we think, especially what had happened to you and stuff when we were younger, it's like, well, do it because you can do it, and you won't always be able to do something like this. So push yourself, I think, is what I go for. And there's a part of me that does enjoy when people say, you're absolutely mental doing that. Why are you doing that? And I don't know why it is, but I like that.
Yeah, because I think deep down it's quite nice that you can physically do that, where a lot of people either can't or they're not in physical shape to do it. And the fact that you're fit enough and you've kept yourself in shape that you can actually do those things, I think that's quite a nice side of it as well. Do
you know what I think as well, though? I think when it comes to these types of things, 50 Lakeland miles, forget 100, which we'll get to in a bit, but 50 Lakeland miles, 10,000 feet of climbing, whatever that, to someone who's never done that, who's not done couch to 5k even, it's just bonkers, isn't it? However, when you've done it, you see the journey from that to that and how possible that is for people.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. I say to people, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Some people don't see that though, do they?
No.
They're scared of it.
They're the wrong end of it, aren't they?
Yeah.
And if they, as we said before as well, some people just don't have the inclination. Fine, they enjoy gaming at home or whatever, or sitting on the couch and watching movies, whatever. I love that as well. But for me, to drive yourself to do things is just in me. Some don't. But those that are at a point where they decide, do you know what? I'm going to start. I'm going to do a mile round the block. I'm going to do 2 miles after that because it made me feel all right. That is the start of a 50-mile run, if you ask me.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. It's the process. We had this discussion last week around the marathon and said the marathon isn't the 4 or 5 hours on the day. It's the 12-week lead up to it. What you're doing in that lead up, how you're preparing yourself mentally, physically. And I think it's just the journey itself, and it's no different than life, innit? You don't come in as a 18-year-old and be a director of a company, do you? You build yourself up, and it's just a journey in it, and it's every step, and it's bite size. Starting a marathon, I never think, God, I've got 26 miles to go here. I think 5. Do you know what I mean? And breaking it down is the only way for me to achieve really anything.
And that comes from experience, doesn't it? Of doing it.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting as well that people break it down differently? Because I was listening to one of your podcasts where you were like mathematically saying this, that, and the other. And I was like, for me, when I was doing the marathon, what I'd do, this is how I'd do it. In the training, I would do 6 mile. That's my warm up. 20 left, 2 10s. So that's the way I would look at it, and I would just break it like that. And I know everyone does it differently, but for me, saying the 6 mile is a warm up and you've got that out of the way and you're into 2 10s, then that was the way I broke it down.
Yeah, it's interesting. That is interesting.
Not a bad way. For me, I'd see that last 10 as being too long for me to break down.
Yes.
As in, there's so much that can change from 16 to 26.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'd look at it at the 20, 23 and 26 sort of thing, or even in the 22, 24, 26, just to break it down a little bit small in your head.
Yeah.
Because 10 miles,
it's a long way.
If you bonk, then 10 miles is different to just running the normal 10 miles. Isn't it?
Do you know what that speaks of, though? And this is where I said to you when we were at the park run earlier today, the way I see myself is a bloke who loves running. I don't see myself as a runner who can compete. Now, that's where I think I differ from you guys. Whether you agree with that or not, that's the way I look at it. It's ability levels, and I think therefore if I was in a position where I'd be still chasing a time in a marathon, then that 10 I would break down more.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I'm out for a run and I'm going to finish it. And if I get sub 4, great.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think there's a way of breaking things down that's different dependent upon where you're at. Is what all I'm saying. And I suppose that's the same for someone who's doing a 5K and who's like, I've done 2.5K, so I can do the next 2.5. You know what I mean?
100%. It's hard, because if you're training for a marathon and you go and run a half marathon, it's very hard to think, I've got to go and do that again. You know what I mean? So the breakdown for me, I can't do some weird stuff when I'm running. Like a trick, I say to myself, well, I hit 18 miles, I go, well, let's just pretend that's 16 miles. You know what I mean? I'm like, what am I doing? But
Get 2 miles.
you're just playing games like in my head. It's just weird, yeah. But it's funny, innit? Everyone does it differently. And I always hit halfway, and I think, right, well, now you're counting down the miles, not up.
Yes.
That's something that I always use. That it's just a weird little rain man.
But it's a good, it's a good mental side to have though.
Yeah.
And it works.
Sometimes.
If it, you might waste.
Not so much in Manchester, mate.
But you said like you're breaking down the numbers and stuff. Even if that wastes 30 seconds at the beginning of a mile, you're that 30 seconds closer into that mile, aren't you? Where your kind of brain's been distracted a little bit. You know, and it all counts at the end of it. Whatever way you break it down, it's.
Yeah. And I think, and I suppose your target changes as well. It? Like you might say, my first ever marathon, I just want to get around. So then you can just break it down by the miles, and then maybe you start to think, I want to be sub 4, sub 3.5, and then you start thinking more, I guess mathematically a bit, don't you, around the pace and the mileage and that. But initially though, I was same. I was like, right, just get around, see how you get on.
Yeah, there's no thought behind the 6:10, the tennis. There was nothing like that at the beginning. And even till probably a few years ago, I never really thought of it more than the bigger blocks.
Yeah.
Like you said, though, I think it comes to, if you're competing and you're running at speed, for example, you do have to break it down smaller, because those 5 seconds over a mile make such a difference. It's not minutes you're talking about, it's seconds.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in learning about your running to date, you know, the club that you're at where you're chasing first, and you keep getting second, don't you?
Yeah.
You're in a position where you're benchmarking against others.
Yeah.
And I guess, dependent upon where you are in your own thought around running, you are racing, you are benchmarking, you are wanting to win, because your ability is at that point where you're like that. But it's no different, I don't think, really, than an individual who's competing against themselves to improve. And then ultimately there'll be a point where it's like, you look at the guy at the side of you, don't you? And you're like, okay, so so next time. So today, for example, at the park run, we're talking about, you know, a park run. I'm going out treating it as though I'm just going to warm my legs up. I've got a lot to do coming up. I want to see how this sciatica is and whether I'm going to aggravate it. And it's all downhill on the way out, and on the way back up, you're climbing a bit. And I want to see how I feel. But I could not help but look at the guy in front of me who's out walking his dog, and he's running with a dog, so he's having a dog walk, and he's in front of me. He's going to finish before me. There's no way he was going to finish before me. You know. So, but you end up competing naturally, don't you? As you start to believe in yourself a bit more, regardless of where you're at in your running journey.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think with the club thing as well. Only from my side, I'm more middle of the pack in the club that we're in, but I improved a lot by going to the races, and then getting to the point where there's people in the club that you're like, I'm probably around the same pace as that person. Yeah. So when you go to the races and they're there, you already have in your head, there is a bit of a competitive element there, isn't there, that you think I need to be pushing it a little bit here, and I think with that competitive element, you push yourself and you realise you're probably more capable than you think. If you go and do, like, if you'd have ran that 5K this morning at Hayhall on your own with nobody around you, your time's going to be different. Isn't it? Yeah. So I think it does help sometimes having that, and it pushes you a little bit to be.
I agree.
Perform at your best. Yeah.
I agree.
No matter who you're competing against, as long as there's a bit of competition there and you push yourself, then it does help.
Yeah.
100%.
What advice would you give to someone who's listening to this from the Peak 15 point of view, let's say, not specifically from a running perspective, who's, you know, appreciates that Peak 15 is about a passion for things and being as good as you can be in a particular arena, who might look at it and go, I've never thought about running, but I might give it a go. What advice would you give them? Because we talked about that fear of going and joining a park run or whatever?
You
just go and do it.
You just got to go and do it. But I think there's so much nowadays, as in terms of, say, the mental health side of things, where a lot of people kind of struggle to get out initially to go and do something. So, like, I've never struggled with it, but for someone that is struggling with anxiety, for example, that might struggle to get out and be in big crowds or whatever, then it's hard to kind of advise, because I don't know how they're feeling with it. But realistically, it's like, there's no reason why you couldn't sign up to a park run and go walk at the back with the tail walkers. You don't have to speak to anyone, and just get a feel for it. You wouldn't have to necessarily do it first time around. You can still turn up to the park and just have a wander around, have a walk or whatever, just see what it's all about first of all before you're doing it. But I think it's like with any sport, it's like running or football or whatever. There was one I was at with Jack last week where they were weightlifting. I think those that have a passion for that sport will encourage you no matter what ability you are. Because that weightlifting one, like, they're just as mad as what the runners are. It's just weightlifting.
Yeah.
And the passion's still there. It's just a different sport completely. So I think once you surround yourselves with those people that enjoy the things that you do, then you're welcomed into it.
Exactly. The other thing with the park run is you said sign up for a park run. Now, people might listen to that and think, oh, God, I got... Turn up, innit? Turn up, watch it. And in fact, just run from the back, because no one's going to stop you going over that finish line, and you'll have done something and tested it out. And even if you run down the hill and think, bloody hell, I'm blowing now, and that's it, you've done it. You've got over that first hurdle, haven't you? So I think that's a really important thing to say to anyone who might look at this and think, I'll give it a go. And as you also said there, what you find you're great at may be powerlifting. It might be, it could be anything, couldn't it? And then you find that community, that tribe of people who welcome you in.
Definitely.
And even on the side where you're doing your running stuff at the moment, aren't you? Like your club running side of things, like the Red Rose have 3-4 groups a week, don't they, where they can turn up, and it's all levels of running. And you could turn up and you'll know more than me, but you could literally turn up and go, look, I'm new to running. I'm after a bit of advice on it, and someone would be there to help you out, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I think the hardest bit is putting your trainers on and going and meeting a group of runners. Once you've done that bit and you start having the social connection that you might benefit from, I think it makes a big difference. And I suppose it's just really putting yourself out there to say, well, what is it you want to do? Are you in it for the fitness? Are you in it for the social side? And then just once you get there, I was talking to our club the other week, so I'm doing this leadership in running fitness thing. It's only like a real basic, like before coaching really, but saying like people's biggest fear is they get to a running club like in a Thursday night meet-up and they think they're all going to be in these Kipchoge trainers, Kenya vests on, and they're all sprinting and it's all dead serious, but there's such a range of abilities and it's just to help you fit into like a category that works for you, and then to continue to push yourself. And I do think what I would also say about your turning up thing is you've got to give it the time as well. If you went and ran, if you hadn't ran before and you went to a 5k race, and you would probably hate it. It's just building yourself up in it and giving it the chance. If you're unfit, you're going to hate anything that regards to running, because running's hard. Well, we discussed swimming before, didn't we?
Yes.
I hate swimming because I'm awful at it.
Have you ever been to a swimming club?
No,
I've not, because I'm awful at it. And
so that's the same principle, isn't it? But I suppose the difference is, at some point you will probably, because you've got this ambition for Ironman, haven't you? Go and put yourself in a pool, get some lessons, get to the point where you are with people of a similar ability who've all got that same worry about it, and then before you know it, all of that's gone, isn't it? And you talk to people who also have a goal, and you're on a level with them, and then you see that you can do it, and before you know it, you've opened up a new next level game bit, haven't you? You know what I mean?
Because like I said, if you go and do swimming, you've got a fresh start again, haven't you? As in terms of, we've done the running side of it. Swimming is going to be not necessarily a club, but you're going to be meeting new people with it and everything else, and it's like I say, it's going to be a new start for you. And cycling was the same before Land's End. I fell off that bike about 4 times because we were clipped in. If you get not even moving.
Everyone knows if you get to traffic lights and you're clipped in, you're going to be off it, aren't you, at some point? And what I love about running though is that you don't need any real kit or gear. It's just a pair of trainers and you just go out your door, don't you? And I think the beauty of that is it's such a simple sport to start. I probably started it because I was pretty bad at other sports, and I thought I need something to keep myself fit. I go to the gym a little bit, but I was never very good at sports. But I was all right at squash.
Yeah, we did all right at squash.
Play squash a bit, but yeah. So that was the simplicity of it that I loved. That's why I got into it, really.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's it for me. I'll tell you why I got into it. So, my eldest two lads now, when they were sort of 4 and 5, which is getting on for 22, 23 years ago now, I was a smoker. You know, I had what you'd probably describe as a interesting part of time at 17 to 22, where I pretty much did whatever I wanted. And was smoking heavily at that point. You know, a mate of mine would say that I'd collapse the filter me because I'd get right down to the bottom. And that's how I was. And then it got to the point where the kids were kicking a football around the park as toddlers, and I'm wheezing. Literally after 20 minutes of kicking a ball about. So I'd go from the corner of Kendall Street, the front door of our house, round the corner past Wigan Hall here at the front, and then down Park Road, and then back to the house. And it'd take about an hour for my lungs to recover from the run, and I'd be wheezing and getting myself sorted and wet through and so on. That's not changed. I'm still wheezing, but I'm running. And I remember that incremental, right, I'm going to go to Gidler Lane now, and I'm going to add another block in, and it was literally just expanding the blocks that I was running on at that time, knowing that I wanted to be able to kick a football about on the park without being absolutely knackered. And that's where it came from, really. There was a period where that stopped because I then had, as well as the younger two, I had another 2 boys since then. And any number of shenanigans in between all of that, which prevent you from becoming regularly passionate about running. But then I picked it back up again when Joining Jack, the charity, was set up, and we did the Manchester 10K, which is where I met my wife, who happens to be into running as well. And but at that time she was probably more into gym, and then did so. Like meets like, and you kick on from there, don't you? So I'd say from 2012 onwards is where I've gone, you know what, do a bit more. And then I've got a stupid mate who sat in front of the computer with me and said, let's sign up for an Ironman. And I think it was that, actually, genuinely, the signing up for the Ironman. No choice now. That's happening.
You've got to do it.
That's happening in July. It's now September the year before. Let's see what we can do. We've done a bit of swimming. So let's do a triathlon and let's build up from there. Let's book in the Manchester Marathon. Let's pick. So it was all condensed into a very short period of time for me, really, at an age when, if I could look back, and this is my advice to anyone of an age now, 20 plus, if you're fit, stay fit, get running, and it's amazing what you can do. Because you look at people 20 years old now, I do, and I think you look like a runner. And if you just applied yourself, you would be dangerous. You know, and that's where I've gone through abusing my body and all the rest of it, enjoying a drink way too much at parts of my life, to the point where I'm now, God, I wish I hadn't have done that, because I know how I would have been at this stage if I hadn't have done that. And I feel like that's been a little bit of a thing that's let me down in the time since I started running properly. Bearing in mind, quick maths, so I'm 50 now. When I started, I would have been 38, really.
So it's quite late on to be starting. Not late on to be starting running, but compared to
but
a lot of sedentary time up to that age. Really.
I think though, if you, like we've just discussed there, you know, we say a lot, you know, look back at where you've come from. So you at 38, you know, struggling to get around the block or whatever after and smoking, to completing an Ironman and going. If you look back at that point, you know, I wouldn't say it's you should be harsh on yourself. Say I should have started earlier. You know,
no,
that is such a massive achievement to do, especially at that time as well, because it's hard. The later it gets, the harder it is to get into fitness, isn't it?
The fact you've got into it at that age is a good thing, because you could be looking now 50 going, well, I've not done anything.
That's the way I've got to look at it, mate. And do you know what? You've just taught me something there, because I've struggled with the 40 to 50 thing. It seems like seconds ago that I was 40. I was turning 40. We were going to New York. My wife had got me a trip to. It's gone like that 10 years. And I just think to myself, well, what's the next 10 going to look like? And the speed of it. So we've got to enjoy our time, and we've got to crack on and pack it with all of these things is the way that I feel about it. I guess it's part of the reason, and I'm coming back to your question, what drives me to actually do more is to stay fit, stay healthy, and look forward to these challenges.
Yeah.
And like I say, you're lucky you can keep doing them, aren't you, really?
Exactly. And talking about that, looking forward to challenges, obviously, 12th of July, overnight start, midnight, head torch, backwards route of the 50 more or less, add 12 on the end just to be rude to me. Why not, is the thing. Then 2 weeks later, you're up there, aren't you?
Yeah, we're back again with it.
Not as far as
we've not said that yet, have we? We're back.
We're back.
Yeah. Using the intro, innit?
Yeah.
I mean, as well. I just wanted to, if possible, with you, just break down that race a little bit that you're doing, the 62 miler. I mean, we said before, like, why would you want to start a race at midnight to run 62 miles? Like, so what is the driver there for you to go and do this? Is it because a couple of people you know are doing it? Is it a charity thing? What's your sort of reasoning?
So, as I say, a stupid pal of mine and his sister.
It's always that, isn't it? It always starts with that.
Stupid pal.
Is where it started.
Wouldn't have let if not.
That's right. Much younger than me, much more handsome than I am, and his sister's even younger than him. And so they are very competitive. They're very competitive, these two. He's a racing snake, thin as a lat, strong as an ox, can run trails. Julia, lightweight, strong as an ox, and between them, they're great runners. And at a time, we were all running together. So we'd go Great Hill, we'd go Winter Hill, we'd go up Rivy and all the rest of it, and love it. We'd get up to 26-mile White Coppice, all around all of those areas, and absolutely love it. And so it was, what should we do this? What about this Lakeland 50? You've seen that we can call ourselves ultras.
Yeah.
Now, the competitive nature of Andrew and Julia is that Andrew's the older brother, the older sibling. Julia is a doctor, albeit of concrete, right? She's got a PhD and all the rest of it. And so that sticks in Andrew's craw. She's a doctor, I'm not. And he winds her up about it. She winds him up about it. So basically what happened is she said, I'm going to be a Doctor Ultra. And he said, well, I'm an Ironman. And so she's now got the upper hand because she's a doctor and done ultras, right? But he's only Ironman Ultra. I think Doctor beats Ironman.
Yeah, Doctor Ultra sounds better.
Doctor Ultra. Yeah. It's like a
Marvel villain.
So between us, we have this competition. Now, what's happened is, if you could see as a visual analogy, they're off over the hill and I'm kind of chasing them up it 10 hours later. So we did the 50. They finished it in a great time. First time round, I think they did it. I'm probably doing them an injustice here, but I think it was somewhere in the region of 13 hours, some 13, 14 hour mark.
Which year was it, that one?
That was 2 years ago.
2022.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the first time we did it.
First time I did it as well, 2022.
Yeah.
In decent conditions. Wet.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, not a bad year to be doing it as in heat wise and stuff like that.
No,
So,
it was. It was good. It was good. And they were chuffed to bits. I was 19 hours. But
steady away.
Did it. Yeah. Done it. Fine. Happy. And so I guess there's a number of things going on here. Age, seeing how fit they are, wanting to be as fit as they are, getting injured, struggling through that. Second time round, being really frustrated because the injury meant that this time I hadn't any of the mileage that I'd done the previous training session, training year, and they were kicking on again. So when they did the 50 last year and I did, I knew they were going to be much quicker than me. They were going to be going to beat their own time, which they did. Yeah. And I beat mine, which was great because I had the course knowledge. I knew that I'd probably been careful the first year because of the little Achilles issue I had. So this time, the reason we're not doing the 50 the 2 weeks later is because they go to Paris. So they're going watching the Olympics. Oh, right. So what we thought was, well, if we do this 62, then we're all still doing something together. I get a chance of going in anger this time.
Yep.
And they kick on again. The whole plan is for me to get a sub 1650 so that I can do the 100.
Yep.
All right. So that's been in the back of my mind. Can I get sub 16? So last year 16:40 something I think I did. So I know I can do sub 16 if I've trained, but this time the sciatica has completely prevented me. It's probably not doable. And it's a question for Mark Lathwaite, who might see this at some point. If I do a sub 16:50 on the 62, can I qualify for the Lakeland 100?
We'll ask him.
I don't see why not.
I say yes.
If you make it an official event, then you're in, aren't you?
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it goes. But the driver for me is chasing them, those two good pals of mine, and being as fit as I can, I guess.
Are you going to be on your own for this?
Yeah.
Is it just, how many's doing it? Is it just a few of you?
So there's 3 of us who are going to the event together. Right. We're going to stay in the cottage. We're going, all that stuff's all planned. We've already this week we've talked about what we're doing, what we do when we get there, the registration, going back to the cottage, chilling out, trying to get a little bit of sleep before we then get to the start line. Yeah. Probably watch a film and do that thing that happens every time I put Netflix on. Get a bit of sleep, and then it's head torch 12:01 Friday night. And they'll just toddle off into the distance as they do on the 50s, and I'll be there in my own mind, enjoying this. I tell you, the thing about the midnight start for me is, I'm going to be around Gates, Carth, probably, on Mardale, by the time the sun comes up at 5 o'clock, 4 in the morning or whatever.
So you're not too bad because you've only got 5 hours of night time to start with, so it's not awful, is it?
No, and I know the route because it's reverse of the end of the of the halfway point, more or less, of the 50. So it'll be nice to run back out of Ambleside and then up the climb through the farm fields down to Town End, into Troutbeck, and then up the hill and into Kentmere,
and then down, then up.
And then up Catescarth, and then down the other side, and all of that, and then along Mardale, and I don't, we know how horrible some of those trails are, but the act of doing it, that sunrise, for me, is what I'm going to be looking for. And I'm going to be looking for these things that will just be psychological pulling on the rope to pull me back to the finish, I guess.
Because the soon arrive on the day of stuff like that, once you've set off and you're in the race, I know there's a lot of build up to it, there's months and months, but once you're in it, you're kind of in it, and time just goes. It just goes, doesn't it? And before you know it, you've done 3 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours. And
checkpoint after checkpoint. Ticking it off.
And as long as you're physically able to kind of keep moving and doing stuff, because like with your injury now, it's not necessarily a calf strain, is it, or a bad back or out? It's just, and I think how I'd struggle with that is not knowing. Not knowing if a mile in or 50 miles in, is that going to cause me an issue where I can't physically kind of carry on, or you could be great and be fine for all of it. You just don't know, do you?
No. The only thing I can do that I've only just been able to actually think about doing, and the window's very small for it, I wouldn't mind doing part of the Grasmere section as a fell walk. Just to get time on legs. And just moving for a long period of time, because I've not had any of that. So Julia actually suggested to me, why don't you go do the Yorkshire Three Peaks? 10 hours walking. Get out there and do that this weekend, and then at least then you've got a week's taper before you get out.
Are you shooting off there after this?
I know.
I think I better. Maybe it's tomorrow. But I think that's a really good bit of advice from Julia. Actually, go and get some time on legs now, because you had none.
That is definitely.
Even if it's up White Coppice or a 30-mile round Rivington, just see how you handle the ups and the downs, and then it's more of a confidence boost.
It is.
If you get round and you kind of get round pain free to an extent, then if you can do 13, you can do 62, can't you?
I think that's the challenge as well with the time on the legs, because we're going and doing like 20 mile, 25 mile maybe distance wise, but that isn't the same as when you get to 40, 45 miles in, is it? So it's more about the time on the legs, nutrition, eating right.
Yeah.
What are you eating? When are you eating?
Yeah.
So I think being out for a prolonged time is probably better than just going out and doing miles. Sometimes you've got to get yourself in that mindset of being out for a long old time, aren't you?
Absolutely.
And you've got to break it down, like we said before, didn't we? I think for those races, when we spoke to a couple of the Centurions the other week, how they break it down is got to be by checkpoint.
Yeah,
not
number
about
of picnics, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
8 picnics.
8 picnics, yeah.
So I mean, how is that? How you'll break it down in your 62?
Yeah.
I think that way.
There'll be a number of those things going through my mind. I think the sunrise is a thing. You know, and we're like 4.5, 5 hours in.
Yeah.
Where will I be when that sun comes up?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you after. You know, if it's I don't know if it's like somewhere near Town End.
I know, yeah. 3 mile in.
Yeah. So we'll see where that happens, and I think that would be I know that will be a psychological boost for me. If that's as I'm running along one of the technical bits at the side of Haweswater Reservoir, great, because I can enjoy Haweswater then as the sun rises and it's going to be stunning and all the rest of it.
Definitely.
Even if it's driving rain, when it gets light, that whole thing I think will be a real kick on. The checkpoints thing is always great for me. I dilly and I dally and I mess about, and that's probably where I lose a lot of time anyway, but I enjoy the picnic. You know, and I know my own body in terms of what it wants nutrition wise. So we talked about, or you guys talked about gels and how you can't deal with that constantly. And so I do kind of pick my way through savouries and yes, I augment that with a bit of gel and whatever else. But in the main, I'm starting with salty pizza. We'll take pizza in our bag and have a bit of that. And
quite like the sound of that.
It's mad, isn't it? And
12-inch it back.
Yeah.
Big Domino's. But it's interesting though, and I think you can experiment with that so much. Nutrition. Like last year, we said I'd been on holiday to Italy and I'd these massive like metre-long pizzas for a week, thinking this is good carb loading. And then it comes to the 50, and I couldn't. I really struggled. And so my nutrition leading up to it wasn't good. But you experiment with stuff. Last week, we saw one of our mates out. She had potatoes, like a little mini potatoes, and that's something I think I could probably get behind. That some good carbs in there, isn't there, and quite easy to eat. Just a little salted potato. We've seen a few of those people out with that, haven't we? But I've just tried to think to myself, well, 60 grams of carbs every hour as I go. So I'm just trying to experiment. That's all you can do. Really.
Well, my wife Jane, and Julia and Andrew will know this. She loves a potato in any format, whether that's chip, waffle, croquet, whatever, and she'll have them all at once with a Sunday dinner. Brilliant. So potatoes would be something that I think Jane would take round on a 50.
Yeah, well, they have them at first checkpoint, don't they?
Big bag of King Edwards, like.
Just get lighter as the day goes on.
It's crazy what you, and like obviously you can, because the gels have it in, but because we were discussing, was it the winner of the 50 that had just used gels?
I'd read it with the 100, Andy, and he was having one like every half an hour, so it worked it out. I don't know if it's exact, but if he was doing that, he's had 40 gels.
I can remember having gels pretty much all the way around the Ironman, and I got on my feet for the marathon, got down to the end of Charlie New Road, is it, where the Bolton Boys School is, and a bit further down there's like a pub, and everyone was sat outside the front of there, and all of a sudden my stomach just went, and a mate of mine, Gibby, who'd done the Ironman the year before, was on his BMX alongside me. I said, Gib, go and see whether the next toilets are there.
I need it now.
Dash straight in, and they'd hose the whole inside of it down just before I got, they go in with the hoses and get it all brand new roll in there.
Brilliant.
I can't tell you what happened, but as soon as I got back out of there,
shut it off.
I was doing like 8-minute miles, 7 minutes. It honestly felt great as a result of getting rid of that gel. But it's weird how your body deals with different nutrition.
And that's one of the advice we give in it as well. You've got to try it out before you do it, because if you go into the 50 and say, I'll just do what this guy did, have 40 gels, you ain't going to be in a good place 26 miles in.
And I think stomach issues are in normal life, it's a day ender, isn't it? If that makes sense. Like if you end up with stomach cramps and a bad stomach, like you're kind of not leaving the house.
No.
For example, if you're in a race, like I kind of half went through it myself, and
Yeah.
you're just struggling. You are literally struggling. You can't get moving. You're just fighting for that next movement.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Which
on that point,
which isn't good.
two things. Talking about the 50, we'll go to the 100 because you just mentioned the guys did the 100 and the nutrition for it. I want to talk to you about going from 50 to 100. But just a little throwaway question. Do you remember your first wild poo?
I've had a
I
few.
don't think
Which race?
And was it a headband? Was it a headband you used, or were you already prepared?
To be fair, I was on about this the other day at Wrexham Half Marathon in 2018. I was at mile 12, and that was it. Luckily it was down like a country road, so it was a farmer's field there, but I think that was a dot leaf and a bit of grass. But then after the race, it was like straight to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like literally just gone. Like
Yeah.
there's no control over it whatsoever.
Horrendous.
And you question what you kind of eat before and stuff like that. But
Sometimes it just happens.
it just happens. It's part of the digestive system. And if
Better
you
in a
race
ditch
that hard,
than in your leggings. Isn't it?
I agree. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Yeah. But there's no control. Once it happens, it happens.
No.
You just got to try stuff enough to hope that you kind of get away with it.
Yeah.
On the short stuff
Manage it
anyway.
as best you can.
See,
can't you?
these are the things that people who decide to go running will end up enjoying. You know, conversations about wild poos.
Yeah. Thing is, if you're having a nice wild poo, for example, then it's controlled. You have a bit of toilet roll with you. You basically pick a spot.
Yeah.
If it's the other way where you have no control, then it's basically wherever you go. But you've still got to be able to. I don't know. Just I have no issues with it.
No.
I think with my job and that, you kind of get used to finding certain places to go, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But some people are like, oh, well, I can't go away from my house. Well, you're not going to end up being a trail
No
runner
choice.
then.
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
Because if you can't do that, well,
yeah.
ideally you don't have to, but sometimes you have to. Don't you?
Mine was at Portland this morning. Just
Why have you still got a bag with you?
It was on the start line, wasn't it?
Yeah, you saw me like a dog at corner looking at it. But I remember though, like, when we did Land's End, John O'Groats with you, we were we must have been like 8 mile in Scotland, like in the middle of nowhere, and he was saying like he wanted to go to the toilet, didn't you? And you're desperate for it, so he said, "I have to pull in here, lads." So we pulled into this like lay-by. We waited at bushes. We were waiting for him. He come back out, and we went round the next corner. And there were just loads of toilets, like, dead nice toilets. She said, "Oh, just been in bush up there." Honestly, it was brilliant.
I shit you not, pardon the pun, but Andrew, who I run with, told me on the last time we went for a bit of a jog together that he on the route up Sheep House. You go through the gate and then you're on the stone path that takes you up a little bit, and it gets a little bit steeper there. And he's with Julia, and he said, I need to go. So he's dropped down on the right there where there's that steep bit with a little bit of a fence. And he's found his spot, and Julia's just kind of like keeping moving on the main path. And there's a lot of work been going on further up
Right.
the path. And just as he's dropped his keks and started, a little van's gone past with 3 mobile toilets on the back of it, just past him.
Watching him.
Teasing him.
It's always the way, isn't it? I think always the way.
Just weird. Literally weird thing to do, Owen.
Absolutely. So we've done
Brilliant.
50, and as I say, you know, we've talked about people who might be starting running and thinking about starting running and where it can take you. Well, I mean, tell me how you feel now, but first of all, tell me how you thought about, right, I'm going to go from 50 to doubling that in one race.
I don't think you're taking in properly. Well, the only reason I did it because Mark Laithwaite basically said,
Called you out.
if you want to challenge yourself, here's an 100-mile race for free. So I took it. But I had no fear about it.
No.
I started off the year training well, and then I ended up injured. And I think that just not set me back, but in my head it made me worry a little bit more because I wanted to kind of, I say race it. I had no idea what the distance was. I had no idea what I was going to experience, but I had no fear of the distance because I had no idea what it was about. Like, literally no idea. But because I ended up injured, it was kind of forcing training in too close to it, and I think that bit me in the arse really.
Right.
Trying to do too close to the event, and I think that caught me out really with it. But nutrition wise, I've no idea. I've only done a couple of ultras before it really, and we're new to it from 2021, aren't we, to be fair?
Yeah.
So it's only 3 years now we've done it. So nutritional wise, no idea. Not really looked into it over 100 miles. It was kind of try and blag my way around. I think that's essentially what I ended up doing. First 59 through to Dale Main. went well. Didn't sleep right, but I thought I ate pretty well. Thought I drank pretty well.
So you felt okay?
Felt okay.
Point,
I was definitely sleep deprived and stuff like that. And I was
Yeah.
fatigued because I can't even remember what the elevation is, but you're definitely 14,000 feet in by then.
Yeah.
59.
59
Yeah.
mile. What was it? 22 total. So yeah, you're probably about 13,000 feet of elevation in.
Yeah.
But you've done 8,000 of that by 33 miles. So that's a race on its own.
Yeah.
But then it was Howtown where it went wrong for me. That was mile 60. I think mile 65.
Yeah, because you've got Fusedale ahead of you as well, then. Haven't you?
Yeah, but that's where it went. That was where the stomach cramps
Okay.
and everything else just basically kicked in, and it never really went.
Right.
I had to walk the remaining 40 miles, which took me 24 hours essentially. Because I think I was pretty much at that point by 15 hours, give or take. And then, like I say, it was pretty much a day from that checkpoint to then go through one night, to then go through another morning, to then finish at pretty much 9:30 the following day.
So, from a bloke who loves running's point of view,
Yep.
to a runner who was doing an event, and whether you agree with that or not, that's the way I view it.
Yeah.
You're a runner doing an event, and it's a bigger event than you've done before. When I hear you speak about it, there's a part of me that senses that you wish it had been better for you, that you wish that you'd have not had that issue at Howtown, and that you would have finished it in a way that made you feel that you'd done everything you can to finish in the best time possible. And I think perhaps you're thinking that you hadn't done everything you can, and the injury was partly to at play there. But the only point I want to make, mate, is you did a 100-mile ultra run, right?
Yeah.
After doing very few ultra runs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mental,
which is
really.
incredible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. And, I have total respect for you. Do you feel, Steve, that you'll aim for the 100? I've heard you talk about it, and and you say, I'll do it with you if...
Yeah, that's I think probably for you as well. I feel like we probably both, because we are relatively new to it, we maybe had a bit of naivety going into it. I went into that 50 thinking, I'll be all right in this, I'll get time. And then when I saw you at 59, I thought he looks great. He looked great.
Yeah.
There were a few things I thought, that's a bit weird. He just kept talking about how this pie didn't have a crust on it. And I was like, why does he keep talking about this? And then thinking back to it, he was obviously sleep deprived.
Yeah, been up for a day.
Yeah, been doing a day. But maybe, you never say never, do you? I think it's just, I don't think I would want to run through a night. That's not where I'm at with it, to be fair.
Or two.
Potentially a midnight job, maybe. Maybe that's the next step for me, maybe. But to do a 2-dayer, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hopefully it wouldn't be two. Hopefully it'd be a day and a half.
Yeah.
But it's a step up, though. Pete's talked about it before. It's the step up from 50 to then 105. It's doubling what you've already done the furthest and then adding 5 miles on.
Yeah.
So it's not just like we always do the 100k 62 mile. It's a natural kind of step up in it.
Yeah.
But to then double it, it's a different event completely.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we did the 5 passes, 31 miles, and we said never again. And I even said to the point, I had no
we shook
interest
hands
in
on it, didn't we? Yeah.
anything more than 30 miles. Just don't need to do it. And then now we're both doing it 50 for the second time, and he's on 100. So, so.
But I think we got roped into that far too soon off our not abilities, but missold or not been up to the lakes enough to realise what 10,000 feet in 33 miles was. You know, it was brutal, and it was a walk. It wasn't a race, was it? We like running. We didn't like. It was hiking round.
I get you.
Red Screes at one
Totally
point.
get
It
it.
rained with Nike shoes on, which was dangerous. Like there's cliff edges at one point, and I'm like, that's not for me. That was dangerous at one point. That
Yeah.
I enjoy running.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered about hiking up the biggest peaks and looking down and thinking I'm scared of this. I'm not doing it for the fear factor. I'm not bothered about getting over my fears of heights. I just enjoy running, and doing it at lakes has a bit more scenery, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think you're right, though, because I think you're such a strong runner that trying to translate that to the trails, you've been really successful with that. Like you've had some really good wins. You've been up podium for a lot of the trail runs and even the ultra you did to Lancaster, where you pulled out like first place in that for 32 miles or whatever. So I do think there's a part of you in that 100 that thinks I probably should go back there at some point. And
yeah, there definitely is. Definitely is. I would never change it because we've spoken about it before. I literally saw everyone on the course from the 50 race. And those that were behind me at mile 65, all of those 100 people then came past me at some point, and it was a great kind of feeling.
Yes.
Knowing that people come past saying, well done, well done. I had that for a day.
Yeah.
Whilst everyone would come past me from Haweswater through to the Tilbuth Way checkpoint and down to Coniston at morning at 9:30, people were still saying well done. And I'll never be able to get that back. It's superb what that feeling was.
Tremendous, isn't it?
Yeah. But then, like you just said, I wanted to race it. I kind of want to race every race I do. But would I get a better feeling running that in 30 hours than what I did in the 39? I don't know if I would.
No.
Don't know if I would. I'd have to go fast, as in 24 to 26 hours for me to feel like I've got the best out of what I could physically do.
Yeah. There's one thing you can say from that 100, mate. You got your money's worth.
Oh, I got my money's worth, yeah. Nothing.
Almost to the minute of like...
25 minutes left. Should have got it shot.
Walking around waving at everyone.
Yeah, if they'd give you like a trolley dash at the end where you could just get whatever you wanted out of it, that would have been the only thing that made it better.
Fantastic.
Oh, it was painful. I just wish, like you look back and you think you wish you had some just moments on video just to look at the state of how bad it was. Because we were going through, the last checkpoint is 16 mile from Ambleside to Coniston.
Chapel style, is it?
And what did it take? Saying to you, took you 5 hours or something like that. Took me 9.5, 10 hours or whatever it was. And on a training run, we'd do that in less than 3.
Oh, yeah, it's mental.
And that's the thing, I think, because of your pace, because of what you're capable of over distance, you probably just translate that to 100, don't you? But it's what it is in between. That is just, like you say, the first time I went trail running and we were like, right, okay, we're going up this trail. No one's running.
Yeah.
Everyone's just on the conga line and everyone's putting as much effort as they can in to get up there. And the elite are, ticking over and running. But in the main, it's incredible to do the fells and then run down the other side of them.
Yeah.
And
being able to do
progress.
that.
Yeah.
It's a good point though, that, because the majority look at trail and think, I couldn't do that because you're up and down these mountains. But when you're there, you walk up the mountains. We're not running up them.
Yeah.
So I think that was what made us nervous maybe at the start. I know first time going up like Rivy and stuff, and then I was with you and you were like, oh no, we're walking this way. So I feel a bit better when you get that experience of knowing.
Because I remember you saying with Coniston, it's like on the fire thing, Coniston Marathon with like the fire roads. They're not necessarily ridiculously steep, but they might be sharp for 30 seconds. Yeah. And I remember you saying like, should have been running them. I run them first time, but it's like, no, just take your time with them. And then once you're comfortable again, your heart rate settle, go again. But it's from experience. We're still learning. Like hot trails, we've got another. Still learning up road. Never mind, not trails, are we? So
isn't it great though to think that? And this is that thing about benchmarking yourself, consolidating where you're at, and then going again. You would approach it entirely different that 100 next time in terms of the course knowledge you've got, where you can back off, where you can conserve, what you should do with your fueling, where you can make time up on the flats, on the climbs, on the downhills, and I guarantee you know it yourself. You'll strip time out of your original time. Yeah,
you could take 10 hours off the 15 if you looked at it, but then you've also got the fear of what if stomach goes again. What if there's so much that could go wrong?
Or pushing for that long causes an injury. You know what I mean? Which
the 50 mile is ridiculously hard. I don't care what anyone says with it, but there's always so much that can go wrong. Over 50 miles. Where
it's a day in it.
Yeah, when you're going straight to that night and then going into another night, it's like then the sleep deprivation comes in and all the other stuff that kind of comes with it, which you don't know. You don't know.
No, you don't.
And I found the night thing, I don't know about you, I found this, but the depth perception of like rocks and stuff around you. I'm bad. I trip up all the time. I'm not the most mountain goat like runner, but
extreme.
He with me at we did Coniston Marathon, and I tripped on I hit a rock with about a mile to go, and when your head just completely goes. And I was going to him, just leave me. He was like, mate, I can see the finish line. I was like, oh, don't, I'm all right.
And then it happened again. 20 seconds after.
Did it again.
I'd be worried about you up Jacob's Ladder then, and on that section where that little bit is, and you've got to climb up, and then there's all that drop.
Yeah,
horrible.
I've had some bad stubs up there. Yeah, I don't like it. At all. But yeah, I think at night you've got to really concentrate.
Yeah.
So once you've got that challenge of sleep deprivation, are you eating right? Stomach might be going. You've also got to concentrate where you're going. Whereas in the daytime, you don't have that. It's another variable in it that you just don't get in the day races.
Which is some of it on that 100 route is like Blacksail passing through Buttermeter. It's dodgy at times.
Yeah,
it is dodgy. But because I think I reckon it so much, and people that are in the area do wreck it, you kind of get used to where the steps are, and where the bad bits are, and where to take your time, and it plays a big part of that. So I was confident of the route. I've never had an issue with the route once I got to it.
Yeah.
But like I say, you just can't control anything.
No.
But that goes to the fact that you said, where do you stop challenging yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you've done a 50 miles, you're doing your 100k with it, but then it's like if you do that with your issues, you then can go, well, I've done 62 off this. Well, what do I do next? But you've already said you want to do it under 16, don't you, to get into the 100?
Yeah.
So there's your next challenge.
Do you want the 100? Yeah, is that your?
I want the 100, and maybe me wanting the 100 is more than this body will take. You know what I mean? But my mind wants it, and so I will go for it. Yeah. And it's all about midlife crisis. I'll admit it. I'm 50, and I've struggled with it. I really have, because you've only got so long on the planet, and therefore I want it to be packed with great stuff that I can look back on and go, great, and I'm still there. There is no excuses. You're right when you say that, in terms of don't make excuses, because there are reasons why I am who I am, but that's no excuse. Everyone can say, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that, it's because of the other, I've got a business to run. But it's no excuse. If you want to achieve something, you've got to work the time in to achieve it. Yeah. So for me, that 100, ideally it would have been, as I'm 50, I'd be doing the 100. Yeah. But I'm not. I'm going to be 51, hopefully. And I might be 52, whatever. But I will aim for it, and I will go for it, because and then like Jim Curry says, when he's 2-time blah blah, then I'll be enough. That'll be enough for me. Yeah. Because what else is there to do other than then enjoy the trails, knowing that you've done it, knowing that you nailed, you finished it. And it's not about finishing it in a good time, it's about doing that challenge. Yeah. Then after that, I can do what Andrew says, having done an Ironman, happens when we go out and we get that 1,000-yard stare into the distance, and dogs look at you, and you get that respect that I know what you've done. You just want to be able to sit in the hills and go, great, and enjoy the running, and enjoy, which I do anyway. So.
The challenge of it, isn't it? Because there's always so many things that you can do. It's like, say with Chooser and stuff like that, we've been playing rugby. He'll have had.
Let's call him out. You want him on your show?
Yeah, we got Chris Chooser on. Yeah, he's up for it, isn't he?
Yeah, we've come to your place of work. You're not here. So.
I know. Yeah.
that chair's empty.
Yeah, I know. Disgraceful.
I think it's what you just said there. It makes me think about something I read. It was saying, you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything you want. So you've got to have a bit of a focus on something. So the 100 is for you. You're not going to be able to do everything that you want to do, but you've got to squeeze these things in, and you've got to have a reason to do it and a passion for it, which you clearly do have for the 100. So no doubt in my mind, you go and do the 100. Whereas personally, I don't have that yet. I think maybe after the 50, if I do that and I do it well, I might start thinking that. And for you, at some point, you're probably going to think, I want to go and bash out the 50 quick or the 100 quicker than I have. Yeah. You've just got to have that where you focused on it, and I think you can 100% do that, and you've obviously got the drive to do it. The
natural progression for the 62 for me, and having that night start, knowing the course on that night bit, yes, in reverse, but knowing it. Yeah. I think that's a really good way of segueing into the feeling of running through the night, seeing that morning sunrise, getting on and knowing you've still got a long way to go. And it's kind of it's just a kind of calibration thing that for me, and a natural progression which has just happened to be more luck than judgment because of the fact they're going to the Olympics. So we've done this one ahead of the 50, or we'd have been doing 50 again with the aim of doing 100 next year.
Yeah.
So this is like that step up, which is great. There are conditions within it which will help me, I think, for the 100, and that's what pushes me on. Going back to the point about night running and head torch and so on, I heard in your podcast with the two guys, the Centurion Way podcast, they were talking about hallucinating and all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
it happened to me on the 50.
Right.
You know, coming into chapel style.
Yeah.
You come past Ste Willets Bridge and then onto the flat via Elterwater, and you just got that flat path, and it was dark.
Dark, it is dark there.
So you then got lichen, and it all lights up on the trees and on the rocks, and I think that it's got like some kind of phosphorus thing in it. So I was seeing wolves, I was seeing dogs, I was seeing all kinds of shapes and faces and all the rest of it, all the way down that section, and it only seemed to be there for me that I was like seeing all this weird.
With head torch, you're getting that reflection off certain things.
Yeah, it was bonkers.
So I never got it from that. I just got it from like rocks, like bigger rocks.
Yeah.
But I think it depends when your head's kind of gone for a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And where?
Yeah. And chapel style is a mental place, isn't it?
Yeah, especially
You know, in terms of that tent, and as you say, the people sleeping in the corner, and people just like trying to sort out trench foot and
it's a war zone, isn't it?
It is a war zone.
It's like the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan when you walk in there. Yeah, it's
with watermelons.
I just sat in a corner with a rice pudding, just
crying.
Just tears just
crying into it.
And because I remember at the time, because we talk about being naive about it, I shouldn't be saying about this, but I said to him, I don't need my head torch. I'm not going to be doing it at night. I'm going to be getting around it quick. And then
I heard that.
You were like, I use a spare battery. I didn't have that long. But I thought, what am I doing? What am I saying these things for? So you look like you said before, mate. That we learn, don't we, when we do these things?
Yeah. Do you know what it does? I think it keeps you really humble about it all as well. One of the things that occurs to me about talking about this type of thing is that anybody who's looking at this from a completely detached point of view might think this is three lads all talking about how great they are, right? It's not that, is it? No. For me, it's this enjoyment thing of going, achieving something, and learning as you go along. Because what I always say is I'll be out running and I'll see an older guy, maybe in his 60s, 70s, 80s, or woman, and they're out running. And they might be like this, you know, and they're doing a little shuffle.
Yeah.
But they've probably finished 18 marathons. They might have everything under the belt. They know everything about everything. They've done all the trails. And you just don't know, do you? And you've got to respect everyone in this community, no matter what level they're at, because everyone is trying to achieve their Everest, as you said it earlier.
Yeah. I think it just make you more humble with these things, and I don't know whether it's an age thing with me, but I think I used to be quite competitive around like they're doing really well, and like I'm usually beating them. Whereas I don't know if something different has switched in me with maybe the ultra stuff, where now I love seeing other people do well, and like I loved watching it when I went to watch him. Absolutely loved it, which made me sign up for the 50 because I went to watch him do it.
Okay.
But so I love seeing people do well now, and I think that has just become from these challenges with the trails, where you just start to respect these unbelievable athletes, and at the same time people that you know have started from not doing any running to now achieving these things. It's just great to see.
It really is. I'll just give you one more story about the 50 then last year. So they had got their 800 and odd miles of training in, and I was on 135 miles before the start, and they just said we'll see you at the finish, you know, as we set off and up the field. The following day, as I finished, which was about 6 a.m. or 5:30 or whatever it was in the morning, I've got back to the car and I've done it, and I'm like, geez, that was quicker than last time. I've knocked a lot of time off. I got in the car, I got my head down for a bit before they could let me off the field, because you weren't allowed to start your engine or whatever. So then I get off the field at about 6:37, and for me, Sam Fender, 17 going on, that album has been everything during that time that I was training. So I had that on in the car on the way back to the cottage. I'm flying through the country lanes thinking, wow, you know, that feeling of completed everything that I wanted to do, even though and despite. I get back to the cottage and it's quiet, and I get myself in and I lie on the bed in my room. And you know when you're just like, oh, it's a quilt, and I can see and everything. I'm still on the trails, honestly.
Yeah.
Door just creaked open a little bit like that, and Andrew popped his head through, and he looked at me on the bed. And then he came in the room, and he just jumped on me, started striking his eyes out. So did I.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
You know that thing of like, I can't believe you've done it.
Yeah.
He was like, we were watching you at the end, and you were still going. We couldn't believe it, mate. You know what I mean? And it was just that thing of like, two mates who were at different places, but yet we've both done that thing.
Yeah.
The realisation of it's actually happened. And
it's a mega feeling, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Huge. And it's because it's physical exhaustion, it's emotional exhaustion, because like you said, that time your adrenaline's pushing you around to get you to finish, and at the end that all comes sort of crashing down into one emotional wreck.
It totally does.
You can't explain it, can you?
No.
Well, we had it in Chicago. I remember speaking to Juicing about it. He said he had it after his first marathon as well, where out of nowhere, just tears, literally uncontrollable tears. You know, like
It was like a film, Chicago. It was so funny because we both had a target, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I had like 3:30, some 3:30 in my head, but I struggled near the end. Ended up with like 3:35. Another part of that was the lad that was watching us had a sign up. So it said "Go Steve W," but it looked like it said "Go Stu," and it really annoyed me. It was
It's
like,
for me,
come on,
that
mate. Yeah.
Although that's a wrong spelling.
But that. But I come round the corner and like it's huge Chicago anyway, and it one of the majors. And walking through this like crowd, and because it's like quite a long walk, innit?
Yeah.
And I just sort of saw you through the crowd, like a film, and we just looked at each other, and he just shook his head, and I just properly just started screaming, didn't we? Yeah, it was absolutely mental, but just everything. Just
I'm not crying, you're crying.
it just comes at you, and people looking at us like, a bit weird. It's definitely that, and I think that 50 as well, the vibe and the atmosphere of being when you walked in at that point. It must have been great to see that when the people are there. They sort of announce you in, don't
Love
they?
Love it. It is, and it's that thing of your friends anyway, regardless.
Yeah, of course.
But you do feel like brothers. There's he calls me brother. And that's a genuine thing. In fact, we always laugh about these. So. And what I'll do in the podcast is I might put some roots up, somewhere here, so we'll see some bits and pieces coming up in the screen here, and if so, therefore, send me any photograph, anything you want supporting evidence. So if there's footage of you two striking your eyes out in Chicago, then send it me.
There's not, is there? No.
But we what we did last year, I thought it was fantastic, that medal, the belt buckle. So what we did is we stuck it on our belts.
Brilliant.
Right.
Brilliant.
And there's a shot of us both in the cottage, which is up here now. Yeah. And we're both like, that cowboy stance. Like that. With the belt buckle on like that on our jeans the day after, just chuffed to bits with it. Absolutely brilliant.
How did you find it? It's a bit of a question, I think, like we've discussed in the past, like after it, because you build up and up and up to this event, don't you?
Yeah.
And then I struggled for drive and motivation after it, because I felt like I got to this point, it exploded into this great achievement, felt good, delighted I'd done it, such a big thing to lead up to it, but then after it I just felt like a bit of it's like runner's blues, in it, I suppose, a little bit, that I didn't have this target anymore, and it took me, must have been about a month or at least 2 before I got into more of a routine again. After it, were you buzzing all the way, or did you? It's like I read something like Roger Federer had said. He said, like, I won all these Grand Slams, and after it, I was like, well, what now? I don't really know what. I'm not saying I'm Roger Federer, but that mindset.
It's
I think.
A big comparison.
Yeah, I know. So me and Roger Federer,
chatting about this. No, I think I was so elated with the fact that I finished it that the memory of it is the driver for the next thing. So like I get to a point where my body isn't. I mean, we went down into Bowness the following day for something to eat for Sunday lunch, and you're thinking, I am going to destroy this. It's going to be amazing. I shuffled my way down to Bowness. I could hardly move, and I can't imagine what you were like after the 100. But
cool down.
I got down there. Sat down in this with this Sunday lunch in front of me and picked at it, and so straight after I was in that recovery mode of it's in your bones, isn't it? So then to get out and shuffle again was great, and go and do a bit of running and then loosen off and start moving again. And I suppose what I do, because it's not a conscious thing, the memory of it drives me to the next one. So I start to get enthused again, and so even the short runs are like that's another step now to recover it. And the next thing, the injuries have been the thing that have really kind of just put a dampener on that. Psychologically, I want to talk about that with you just a bit, and I'm conscious of time, and you tell me what when we need to stop this. It might end up being an episode and a half or whatever.
Big 15.
Yeah, 50.
Big 150.
I might have to change that. But this thing of like doubt has been a massive thing for me at all times, especially with injury. I can remember doing a little video to camera to a guy who does a lot of video locally. He's a personal trainer who has an established gym business in the town, and he talks a lot about discipline and routine and all of those things. I did a video that I sent to him. I didn't get a reply from it, but he's hugely busy. But the video was just me under a bus shelter in the pissing rain, knowing that I was nowhere near fit enough to do the 50 last year, and there was only about 3 weeks to go. And I said to this guy, my question to him was, what is it that I should do mentally when I know that where I'm at today is not where I need to be at in 3 weeks' time, both mentally and physically, to get through this? What do you do in that situation? It's a situation that it doesn't have any rule book. It doesn't speak of being in a routine and being fit and keeping your levels up and all the rest of it. It's full of doubt. It's a complete doldrums where you don't really know what's happening next. What is it that's going to get me through? Now, the answer didn't come from him. It came from me, and it was about one step in front of the other. Be on the start line, get to that point, and then take every minute as it comes and enjoy it and feel your way through it. Protect yourself, push on when you can, and all that. And it's just about those things for me. But psychologically, to be at a point where in February we were doing 15-mile recce runs up onto Winter Hill, over the back, onto Great Hill, Lanky Way, down to, and it was snowing and it was amazing, and you feel like you're running on the edge of the world. And I would say to them both, to both Andrew and Julia, I do not take running for granted, because I'd had this knee and quad injury. I'd got through the 50. I was in recovery. I was feeling fit. I'd gone up Sheep House, attacked it, stayed with them, got to the top of the pike, come back round, and we were all running together in a line as it used to be. Yeah. I don't take that for granted. And then this injury happens. I'll tell you how it happened. I went for a run in the morning with my wife in the dark, had torches on. It was a 7-miler. It was nothing. It was just tick over. It was to then consolidate and go again and get more mileage the next run after that. And we were coming down Torrington Lane, which is out towards Rivy, towards Scotch Corner up there. And on this single track, there was a manhole cover, a cast iron one, that had been pulled out of the grass. It was only a small one, and sat in the grass in front of the hole, right? Big heavy cast iron thing. We're in the dark. Jane's head torch had become a bit weak. I told her to get behind me because she's casting a shadow and I'm trying to spot the path, but she's in front of me because she's quicker. And she stacked it against this cast iron manhole cover, and I stopped dead, and I grabbed her as she hit the deck, and I was like, "You okay?" And she was doing the bloody Family Guy thing for ages, and I'm down there trying to, and we're stopped and locked up, and 10 minutes later she stopped doing that, and we got up, and luckily there was she had no injury, no nothing, but I just completely jarred myself in stopping. I think what happened then was that was an early morning run. I've then done a Friday full day at work. My job is sitting. I'm graphic designer, I'm at a desk, and the whole of my back is just completely locked up. When I got up from my desk, and it was 8 p.m. when I finished that night, I was so ginger it was so stiff and locked up. And then the following day, I couldn't even, I'd been to pick up the kids and I couldn't get out of the car. I was like this, and I had a bath. Now, my physio said that hot bath has just relaxed everything, but you're in that Jensen button position.
Yeah.
You're putting flexion pressure on your disc. The disc's bulged. You've then gone downstairs with a bit of relief and sat on a sofa for 40 odd minutes. And when I got up, I thought, oh my God, I felt like I'd been shot in the back. So the disc is pushing on the sciatic nerve, and the thing that I did that was the real kicker was I got down and did flexion exercise. I tried to stretch my back out in a fetal position on the floor, just pushed the disc right out, and literally the lads, my two youngest lads, had to lift me up, and I held the door frame to be able to stand. So from that moment until now, I've still got the sciatic pain. My back's fine, but it's taken 5 months to get to this point where, seriously, for 2 of those months, I didn't really sleep, and I'm coming in here and working and trying to get on with the job, standing at my desk, wearing flip-flops and shorts, literally not being able to get a foot into a so psychologically, and those two are like, we're cracking on, mate.
Yeah.
And every weekend, Strava, I stopped it. I wouldn't look at it because I wasn't training, I wasn't going out, I wasn't making any progress. Do you know what I did? I got fat, I got heavy, and therefore psychologically you've got all of that going on, and this date looming towards you. So it's been, from a psychological point of view, to be on the start line this time for me is an achievement in its own right. For me personally, that's how I feel. But to do it this time, it is the next level. I want to know whether similarly you've had challenges like that where you just think everybody's moving on, and if you've not, you've not. But I suppose I want to know your view on putting yourself in that situation, and if there's anything that you feel you can advise me as to how I should have dealt with that. You know,
I think you are having that experience probably now with the 50 coming up in 4 weeks. You've been struggling anyway, haven't you? So you're probably in a good position, because I were concerned about you at that point, as in, because you probably want to race it, the 50.
Yeah,
you've had to shift that mindset now, I think.
Yeah, you have to swap it over, but I think that's like, I have a plan to now for probably since February, March.
Yeah,
running it for a while.
Yeah,
slowly started coming back recently, but that is due to doing the stretches, doing the strength work, and resting it, insoles, etc. And even now, my foot's alright after the park run.
Yeah,
but really, I can walk outside, it can start hurting again. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But that doesn't stop me from going to the gym and doing the rowing machine. It doesn't stop me from lifting weights and stuff like that. Where with yours and your sciatic nerve, you can't go rower. You can't start lifting weights. Like from after February, like you physically just basically
ball and chain.
Yeah, like you're disabled, aren't you? You can't do the things that, like, I could still go to work and do my general day-to-day life. I just walked funny and it hurt when I walk. You know, and then it hurt after I run, so I stopped running. But with yours, I think it's a different level of injury, really. As in, to deal with it, you have dealt with it, haven't you? So you're asking for advice to how to deal with it better. You've dealt with it, and you're starting a 100k race in 2 weeks' time at the moment.
Yeah. I suppose.
Could you have done anything rehabilitation wise better? Have you? Is the bits where you've not done them properly? Because realistically, since I've done the last 3-4 weeks of the rehab exercises from the physio, I've got better.
Yeah.
And silly like doing Manchester in April.
Yeah.
If I didn't do the Manchester Marathon, I could have rested up until then. I could have been doing 6, 7 weeks, 8 weeks of strengthening, and I'd have been back for 2 months now. Yeah. Where now I'm still fighting to kind of still be back, where you've kind of got to accept it, what it is, and then do the rehab. Yeah. And do it properly, though, because if not, you're just hindering yourself, and that's what I've done this time around, until I've realised that I have to do it. Yeah. It's kind of like you don't want to stop what you're doing, what you enjoy, do you? No. But sometimes you have to accept it. It's going to be 3 months, 6 months, whatever, and just basically go, right, I'm not running, but what can I do to... And what is the challenge now to get me back to it? Yeah, to get back to it, to then have the feeling that you're probably going to have in 2 weeks' time when you're doing the start line at 12:01, and you'll feel good again then. Yeah. You'll feel good about it all. It might be hard, but... Yeah. No, you're right. Sorry, mate. We had, I think, similar. I think it was Manchester before that. We both... It was kind of like a COVID... It felt like a COVID
thing that we
Yeah.
had,
Oh, yeah.
and it wiped me out for 4 or 5 weeks of just like I was still running, but it was just a fatigue feeling
Yeah.
all the time, and I think you get really frustrated. But it was kind of like trying to manage through that as best you can, like maybe mixing the exercises up
Yes.
a little bit and just making sure you get that rest. But the biggest thing for me was to just ease off the pressure on yourself, because I thought to myself, got Manchester Marathon, you know, I've told all these people I'm going for sub 3, and I were aiming for that, and my training had started so well at the start of the year. I was flying through some of the races I was doing, I was getting quicker, and then you lose it, and then you'll know yourself, if you've been out for 3 or 4 weeks, it feels like you're right back at the start, doesn't it, when you start again?
Really does.
And for me, like, the difference was this time round, when we got to Manchester, we always laugh and say, "Oh, we got back here again, like here we go again," you know. But in my mind, we're back again. Yeah,
again.
I got to like 18 mile in, and I thought, struggling, but I knew I was going to struggle.
Yeah.
So rather than get frustrated with myself about it, I was like, well, let's just take over now for the last 8. And
enjoy it.
I was seeing people that were getting really angry with themselves. You know, like people get frustrated, don't they? Because I've been there. Chicago, mate, you know what I mean, upset and angry at myself, thinking you've not done this. But I just thought, well, you couldn't do it, you haven't done it, but don't be so hard on yourself. It's not like I'm going there to get top 3. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
It's my experience and it's your experience, you know.
I and my wife is long suffering with it. You know, she's been the one that's been who I moan to, and you know, it's been tough for her to deal with me and my kind of, I suppose, moods around it. Your point about rehab, because it's exotic, because it's a thing that you can't. It's a weird one. So you end up being pulled from pillar to post in terms of advice. And I know, you know, Steph, who's watching this, from Harrison Ross and Andy Pinkerton, have been fantastic with me, and they've told me, this is what you do, follow this. And you cannot help yourself but follow that, feel good about it, and then think, I'll push on myself with some self-learning. And it's probably wrong of me to have done that. Sulking is a thing that's probably meant that I've not rehabbed as well as I should do, mate, as well. Because for a month or so, I just thought, well, fuck it then. This is, look at me again, ball and chain, old man. They're kicking on. So, but I've got over that now and over myself with it. Yeah. So,
but with yours, though, there's no end date. If you broke your leg, they'd say, right, 3 months, basically you recover, you can start doing your walking again, your proper exercise. You know there's a timeline with it, don't you? But with yours now, you just don't know. There's no set date. Is it you're running along in February, getting better, and you're thinking, well, I've got another 4 or 5 months here. By July, I'm going to be fit as a fiddle. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you're struck with that over a couple of days, aren't you? Yeah. It's tough to deal with. Yeah, because it is a big kind of injury that's stopping you from doing, it's not just running that stops you, it's going to the toilet proper, it's walking up the stairs proper, it's cooking, it's cleaning, it's just going to shop, it's everyday to day life, and things that it stops you from doing. So
aggravating, limiting, and so on. But what I've got in my head now, and it happened again this morning, there was confirmation of it. Running eases it. I think now I'm at that point where my back is not aggravated. Doing the run gives me mobility and gives me the ability to feel better as a result of it. Whether that's the case over the distance, I don't know. Whether I'm aggravating it in the long run, I don't know. So I've got to be careful. I know that, and I'll do what I can and try and get through it. But it's been a really tough psychological thing to deal with this time.
But if you deal with that though, and deal with the months of sulking and everything else, then really, if you're going to do a 100k race or 100-mile race, like, it's not going to get much harder than dealing with the injury, is it? Mentally, it's not going to be, is it? No. Physically it might be, but mentally you've kind of been through those bad places, and you're sat here now not far off a race.
And hopefully we'll catch up after it and after yours.
Yes. And
see what we do next and do the consolidation bit, maybe. Maybe we'll have a cry together. Look, door opens, there they are. Come here.
We'll all have bad backs by then.
I know, Always sounds good as well.
We'll have to do stand up in here and do the podcast. No, it's been incredible, and I've really enjoyed the conversation with you. It's been a natural conversation about things that we all enjoy doing, and I really appreciate you coming down. This place is your place now to come and speak to
great setup. Great setup,
your people through, and long may that continue. Episode 23 at the moment. You'll be on episode 20,003.
I think 24 just come out. Yeah,
24.
yeah.
24, beg your pardon.
Only
Yeah.
just come out though. To be fair.
Yeah. Centurion Way I was listening to last, and now you've got 24 out. Yeah, so I saw that this morning. But
You want to listen to that one about distances? You know,
Yeah.
we think 1500 and
Yes.
you know, it's 268-mile spine race that Lucy
Yes.
had done. We were just talking about that. It was a 4-day event. Just blew my mind, that, mate. Don't know about you, but
Yeah.
completely blew my mind.
Unbelievable.
That is
Isn't
sleep
it?
deprivation, isn't it?
Yeah.
What we said that last one, basically, you're fine. You've not slept for 4 days.
Yeah.
Crack on.
Yeah.
You're all right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
If you saw somebody after 4 days without that, you'd be pulling them out of the race, wouldn't you? Go, you can't run this race, mate. You think that bin's a person.
Yeah.
And
Why are you going that way?
those medics are obviously so used to it. They were like, nah, keep going, you're all right. Follow that line.
Incredible. There's another one as well, isn't there? Which the Dragonback was the Welsh Hills one, and obviously watched the documentary about that, and I thought that is amazing, you know. And obviously you're camping overnight and then back out again, aren't you, each day? But Julia was telling me about the hatchling.
I don't know.
Have you heard about that? So that's a 25-mile section of each day of the Dragonback, and you camp with them, and you go out and you do 25, and then you come back. So basically, you get an experience of the Dragonback race, but only for 25 miles of each day,
Right.
and it's called the hatchling. So it gives you that little bit of a flavour of what that's all about, which I think is brilliant. I love that concept.
Because of that, you've got the. I know it takes people longer, but you've got the recovery. You've got the 4, 5, 6 hours sleep, haven't you? As long as you get back in time.
Yes.
To recover and go again the next day. Where these longer spine ones, you basically sleep on your own accord, don't you?
Yeah.
Stuff like
That is crazy.
It's mental, isn't it? The winter one, like it blows my mind. The summer one's bad enough, but at least you've got the temperature on your side.
Yes.
The winter
No
one
light.
is mental weird.
Oh yeah, forget that.
But it's one of those. I was going to say before with Tucson, sporting, professional.
Yeah.
Not many people get those highs from being that sort of level, do they?
No.
Say scoring a try, winning Challenge Cup, winning Super League. Like for us, it's not saying like a 50 mile is as far as we're going to go, or 100 miles, stuff like that. But when day-to-day life, you can't get the feeling of what, say, professional athletes do.
No.
But I think the closest we kind of come to it is those challenges that we do, the 50 miles, the 100 miles.
It's a really good point.
And I think that's why I enjoy it so much, is because you kind of get something from it. I don't know what, but just there's something there that you can't get tarmacking. So out in the woods at night, it's something completely different to what you normally do day to day.
It is.
And you can't just do it on your own, can you?
No.
So
No. I totally agree with that. I think to get that sense of satisfaction, even today, you know, we do a park run. You get a little hit of it, don't you?
I loved it.
It's
Loved
brilliant.
Back.
It becomes back again. It comes that like addiction, doesn't it? I think you once you feel that. I don't think now if I didn't run or Saturday morning or whatever, I feel that I haven't ran. Do you know what I mean? I know myself physically and mentally, and you just don't feel the same, do you? But
Well, that's why you've done 50 odd park runs, isn't it? Because when even on the weekends you're going away, you go and try a park run somewhere else.
Gotta find it.
It's an addiction.
It is, but it's one of those, isn't it? Where, like you said, the closest you can get to that feeling is probably doing something where you know that you've pushed yourself.
Yes.
We all know we can go and do certain things, but once you've done something that you thought was out of reach and you achieve that feeling is just completely different to anything else.
It is.
Definitely.
Well, listen, thanks for being with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Too.
And
Loved it.
Took our time, but we got here eventually, didn't
you're
we?
here, and you'll be back again.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
Brilliant. No, thank you though. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks very much. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Nice setup.
I've got your hat, mate, but I don't think I brought it in with me, so I've got your Brigboys hat anyway.
Oh, nice one.
It's out there. I think.
Thank you. You got it on.
Yeah, it's this one. Yeah.
That was great, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks very much. It's been really good. Really good to get in the studio anyway. We've loved it in here. Brilliant.
It's
Fabulous.
class. It's class.
Okay, well, you'll be back again. All right, and you're
No,
welcome,
thank you.
welcome anytime. All right.
Appreciate it.
Great stuff.
Appreciate it.
Good luck
Thanks
in
a lot.
good luck in
Every
the
single
62
camera.
miler. That's the
Yeah,
next step.
yeah. See you on the other side.
It
Go
is
on.
the 100k race, isn't it?
It's 100k race.
Right, it's 100k race. So you finish back in Ambleside, don't you?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the back end of it, you've got the lollipop on the end.
Yep.
And then you come back almost along Elter Water and back in the way that we go up at the end of the 50.
Yeah, you come back in
basically.
with it. And that's on the 12th
12th, 13th, yeah.
12th,
So
13th.
into the 13th, 12:01 midnight, 13th of July.
Little recce on Saturday,
Fantastic.
out for Ambleside.
Yeah.
Because I watched it last year, the ending there,
Yeah.
and it was raining hard.
Oh, great.
Yeah, great.
But
Oh, well, as it does in July.
the Lakeland event is mental because you've always got people there. And there was a guy, I watched a clip of him, and it's not going to do you any favours, this, but he crossed the finish line in, I don't know how many hours, say 16, 17 or whatever, but it rained, everyone had disappeared, there was about 4 people there cheering him on from a shelter. So he'd done this 100k, trained for it for months, and then basically come for it finish line, there's this guy announcing his name, and then nothing.
So you got that to look forward to.
I'm loving that. Yeah, that'd be great.
So it was just mental how he obviously trained for months and then just got nothing. It was like the lap where we first did it,
Yeah,
weren't
that
it?
was weird. Yeah,
6
it was a weird
people.
feeling, yeah.
I'll
Well
make
done.
sure that there's at least one person there at that
Yeah,
point.
no, yeah.
That's all that matters, though, isn't it? That's all that matters.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Well,
feel-
with that in mind,
What's cut-off point?
yeah, listen, it's been like a
Just
good
tested
book,
you.
not yet read. You know, funnily enough, I had a conversation with Julia again the other night. She said to me,
We need to put a picture of Julia up as well.
I'll be
What
there.
did Julia and...
and Andrew, yeah.
Andrew, yeah, get
but
'em up.
the thing is that they said to me last night. So I'm godfather to Andrew's daughter Winnie, and we were there last night, and they said, I said, you got to get on the podcast. You're not monetizing your friends. Was the answer that I got. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to be recorded. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to be on it. And I'm like, it's a conversation about what we enjoy. And honestly, rapier wit, the razor sharp, them two, they'd be great on here. But I'll put pictures of them up, and they'll have to lump it.
We'll get them tagged.
Get 'em on.
Get them tagged.
Get them
Get them on. Get them on.
yeah. Great.
Next
Okay.
podcast guest.
Absolutely
Smash it.
spot on.
Right, appreciate it.
No problem.
Is that it?
We'll see you on the other side of both of our events.
100%. Can we keep this?
Yeah.
No,
We're
it's
gonna
fine.
get your studio. I thought, do you want to sign it? Or do you...
It's here for you whenever you use the studio, but take it and bring it back when you do it from here.
Brilliant.
Swap
Class.
it every time.
Let's do it.
Little.
Fantastic. No,
Yeah,
thank
put
you
your
very
own
much.
guests in there then, can you?
That's a good
I'd
shout.
love that.
Yeah.
All right. In a bit.
Perfect.
Over
Thank
and
you
out.
very much. Take it easy.
Enjoy.
Bye then.
Tatty buys.